You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Coming up, authorities recover a body at Shoal Creek while searching the Grand Falls in Joplin for a missing man.
The cloud cover not enough to slow down the massive Thursday warm-up. Heat advisories in the 4 states, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And it's no surprise for dog lovers, but one new study shows how dog-assisted interventions help lower stress levels. We'll explain all that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities have recovered a body in their search for a missing man in Shoal Creek at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours Tuesday evening and then resumed their search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. A body was recovered at 6:20 last night. Authorities have not yet released the identity of the person. Traffic stops on I-44 when a trailer full of fireworks burst into flames. Wednesday night, just after 5:15, Missouri Highway Patrol reported a pickup hauling a trailer full of fireworks had caught fire on the right shoulder of I-44. Witnesses say the trailer became fully engulfed in flames and exploded fireworks. The fire caused a complete blockage of the roadway for nearly an hour as traffic had to be detoured. Pickup hauling the trailer was able to unhook and pull forward. There are no reported injuries. Thank goodness. Well, the Cassville, Missouri City Council has been considering whether to annex the new Berry County Jail property into city limits. Madison Horner reports the county commissioners are looking to develop a new facility for a health department and a new jail and sheriff's office.
One of the requirements that the city has is in order to connect to the sanitary sewer system, you must annex into the city limits.
Berry County Sheriff Danny Boyd says the new building will have upgraded security systems and more technology to address the community's safety concerns.
Even when you bring new inmates in, it's going to be more secure where the public will not ever see the inmate when they're brought into our facility.
Availability to the Judicial Center was perfect. Safety for the deputies to go access the highway was perfect.
Some locals say they think a new jail will be impactful for the county.
The jail that we have now, there's concerns for safety and out of the jail. So I think with a new location and a new building, just a new structure completely, they can implement more safety inside of the jail.
While others have some concerns.
This is my yard and the jail is going to be right back there at the tall grass.
Jill Ware, who lives in Berry County, says staffing has negatively impacted the department and she'd like to see that issue addressed before a new facility is built.
It's not just a newly developed problem, it's been years. So do I think it's going to get better overnight? Do I think it's going to get better with a new building? I don't.
County officials say the new jail is not being funded through the public safety sales tax that passed in April. Presiding Commissioner Gary Youngblood says the county will use funds from a lease purchase financing arrangement to pay for the project.
You just borrow the money through them and pay it off with payments from the funds we have in general revenue.
Youngblood says the jail is estimated to cost around $10 million. Boyd says having a nicer facility will also boost morale for jail staff.
When you go to work, you get something you're proud of, and safety-wise, it for the community is going to be huge.
Sheriff Boyd says the county plans to start breaking ground in November, and the new jail will take around 16 to 18 months to complete. Well, as you might imagine, during this heat wave, Joplin's Schifferdecker pool is busy. Might be even busier than usual because the pool at Cunningham Park is currently closed due to a lifeguard shortage. About 100 lifeguards are required to operate the city's 3 pools. The city is currently well short of that. They need about 30 more lifeguards to open the Cunningham pool.
Lifeguards is one position out of a lot of positions that the city's struggling to fill, and it does mean, unfortunately, a reduction of service to our citizens.
Joplin's starting pay for lifeguards is $10.30 an hour. With the warm weather outside, why not cool down with some water aerobics? Every Monday and Wednesday, the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center hosts its Aqua Salsa class. Aqua Salsa brings an opportunity to anyone who wants to learn to dance or anyone who loves to dance. The class is open to anyone, and even the instructor has received some great reviews.
She makes the class very enjoyable. She's always smiling, and you just follow her. You can kind of take it at your level and sometimes you can drop it down a little bit or you can kick it up some.
Class starts at $25, begins at 9:15 and goes until 10 a.m. Well, check this out. This could be how people fly the friendly skies in the future. This week, designer Alejandro Nunez Vicente showcased his Chase Lounge airplane seat concept at the 2022 Aircraft Interiors Expo in Germany. Prototype features a double-decker style seating arrangement for airplanes. Flyers would access the top level using 2 ladder-like steps. Nunez Vicente says his frustration with the current lack of legroom gave him this idea. He believes this design offers plenty of legroom. It even has a footrest for added comfort. Nunez Vicente admits passengers, especially those on the top level, cannot stand upright in the seats, but he argues many travelers already cannot stand when flying economy.
Tim, let's let that video circulate around one more time. I want to ask Tanya just one quick question. I believe it's after this next shot. This woman that you see modeling the seat, does she look comfortable?
Not at all. She looks trapped.
Yes.
Behind her fake smile is like a horrible feeling of claustrophobia.
Like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get out of here?
Somebody's sitting in my lap.
Exactly what it looks like.
A stranger is sitting in my lap right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I seriously hope that, okay.
Does this seem to go against everything that we tried to instill as far as social distancing for the past 2.5, 3 years?
So basically you're putting one passenger on the floor.
Bingo.
And then the other one in the storage compartment.
Right, yeah.
On top of you.
You're exactly right. Future of travel, folks.
Okay, so the person on the bottom literally has no legroom.
No.
Like no legroom whatsoever. Like how do they even get in that seat?
No lap room.
Yeah. Where does their...
I guess when they come around with a drink cart, like you just kind of hold it like this the entire time.
Well, there might be room under that seat.
There's no room under that seat.
We never saw a view under the, like behind the sign under the seat?
No.
Yeah.
No thank you on that flight.
This is like, okay, so you have your first class, business class, your economy class. What's another tier under that?
Suckers. Sell tickets to the suckers. Oh, I'll take it.
Can you imagine like a 6-hour flight sitting like that?
Watch one day, I'm going to be on one. I better keep my mouth shut.
This is never going to fly.
Daily Almanac for today. We may challenge that record high of 95 set back in 1952. We set a record warm low last night. While Tanya was right, we did drop into the 70s. We only got to 79. So that's the third consecutive night that we've broke what we call the record warm low temperature, though a 79 from last night breaks the previous record of 78 from 2016. So the record itself was not actually that low. Up to the northwest, Yates Center and Iola, now we're starting to see everybody increase temperature-wise. They were sitting about 71, 72 earlier. Now we've seen that 3 to 4 degree jump with the sun starting to take effect right there. 79 in Joplin, 77 in Miami. Not going to have to fight the wind today. We'll still keep it in from the south, but we'll go 5 to 10 this morning. That's delightful. And really, it won't get too bad this afternoon. We'll probably go, say about 10 to 15, but none of those 30-mile-an-hour gusts that we've had past couple of days. Heat advisories for just about everybody, minus Benton County. We're not sure how they were able to stay out of the fray, but it's still going to be hot down in Benton County as well. See that sliver of green in Greenwood County? That is actually a flood watch for the northern portion of Greenwood County from an overnight low pressure system that brought through and gave them more than an inch of rain. For everybody else, it's just a matter of staying safe when you're outside. And even though today is 93 and we go, oh, it's so hot, look at Friday and Saturday. Keep on climbing up on the mercury. And don't forget, feeling about like 103 to 105 this afternoon. Coming up next on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, everybody's favorite four-state chef, Anthony Fisher from Pittsburgh High School, back in Studio K with a cast iron recipe that he's about to whip up for us. And later, the Biden administration says it's going to lay down the groundwork for the creation of a National Museum of Asian Pacific American History and Culture. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We're making steak and veggies this morning, just in time for Father's Day.
Oh yes, I love doing
we've got
this.
Chef Anthony in the studio from Pittsburgh High School Culinary Arts Program. So happy to have you here.
Oh, so happy to be here. Having a little fun this morning.
And you are a father yourself.
I am. I have 2 boys and 2 daughters, and I'm getting ready to be a grandfather again.
Oh, wow.
To twins.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
So, what we have today for our vegetables, I have zucchini, onions, tomatoes, garlic, and corn.
Okay.
Straight off the ear, I just cut it right off, and I rough cut everything so it kind of just makes a nice little variation of stuff. And I added seasoning and salt to it.
Okay.
And then I have hot butter. I'm gonna go ahead and slide in our vegetables. Make sure that you don't overload whatever you're cooking with.
Now, we're making everything indoors this morning, but just so you know, you can always convert it.
This is really good to do on a Blackstone style outdoor grills because you can control everything. It's really easy to do. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to do a Blackstone right now, so we're going to do it this way. But it's still the same concepts. Everything runs the same.
Okay.
So,
how long do you think the veggies will take to cook?
The veggies should take 7 to 8 minutes at the most to cook all the way through. And then you have, all I have is a sirloin steak, and I've used my seasonings on it. The seasoning that I'm using today is my own mango habanero with flake salt. I'm getting my seasonings ready for the barbecue competition, so I wanted to do something different.
Experimenting with different things and stuff.
I am, but I went completely simple: flake salt, crushed red peppers, granulated garlic, dried habaneros, dried mangoes, ground it all together, and so far it's been a home run.
Why do you like to put dried fruits with your salts, and like mixing fruits and things like that with
it? It gives it a little bit more depth of flavor. Everybody wants spicy, but I like spicy, but I don't like hot burn. The sweetness of most of the fruits will intensify the spice, but it'll also give it an underlying sweetness, so it actually layers flavors and you're building all the way up. That's why salt is the base for almost everything.
Okay.
So, and we have our vegetables going, and they look really good this morning. Martinez never lets me down with the quality of the produce that they have. Oh, could never ask for anything better. And then we have our steak going here, and you can see inside of the pan that everything's coming together very nicely, and I just laid it right in, straight in with the butter. So, and if you're gonna cook like this, let the seasonings sit on the product for just a little while.
Okay.
The vegetables, the seasoning's been sitting on the vegetables for about 30 minutes, and the steak has come up to room temperature so that it cooks nice and even, and the seasoning's been sitting on it for about 20 minutes.
So it's best to let your steak get to room temperature before you start cooking it, not just pull it straight out of the fridge and on
Correct.
the grill.
You'll get it'll cook even all the way through, you'll get a more even flavor with it, and you don't have to worry about any problems when it's cooking. So, and it's not going to suck as much heat out of whatever you're cooking on either. Most people, that's their classic mistake, is they'll do it cold. Like if you're going to make chicken fried steak at home out of one of these beautiful pieces of sirloin, they do it and the steak's still cold.
So we're cooking in a pan this morning, obviously.
We are.
If you were cooking on a grill, is there an adjustment for your cooking time?
Not really. The steak, depending upon, I have everything set on high heat so that we can get it done in the time frame that we have. But you can do it on your grill. Set your grill for about 300 degrees or just between medium and medium high heat.
Okay.
If you're cooking on a charcoal grill, that's even easier. Wrap your veggies in foil and close them up real good. Wrap them twice, put them actually down in the coals. And then put your steaks right over the top.
I love foil packed vegetables.
Oh, I love those. And it works great on the smoker too. Lay them on the top shelf, let them get the smoke in from the smoker, and then seal them shut and put them down close to the heat source for your smoker. And they'll cook up real nice. And our steak, we're gonna turn it over, and you can see I haven't messed with it. So we had this beautiful Maillard reaction. New word for you this morning, Maillard. That's the caramelization when you're cooking. It gives it that nice golden brown and delicious color. So.
I had some questions that arose from earlier this morning. On the KOAM Morning Show, we did an interview with you asking questions about the barbecue smoke-off, the Smoking in the Jungle cook-off that's happening next Saturday. And you can find more information on that on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. the meats that are provided, are those expected to be smoked, or can you just grill them, or like what is what are the rules when it comes into that?
The idea behind it is that it's a smoked competition, but not everybody smokes everything anymore. So if you choose that you want to do it on a grill, that's your choice.
Okay.
Do it, but everything has to, for those meats, for those prizes, everything has to be cooked on site. So bring your grill out, set it up, have some fun. You're going to learn quite a bit. And even just the people that'll be around, you're going to find a whole new family of people that you're going to want to start doing stuff with, just because it's that environment, that community of cooking like that is very tight-knit, and they love it when the new people are added to it.
And I know a lot of people smoke for 8 to 12 to 15 hours for things too. So they're going to want to start early or the night before as well.
Oh yes, and I mean, even if you just come out for the games and try the food and the music, you're going to have a good time. So it's not going to be a problem either way. And we have our vegetables are rolling right along. One thing to think about with your vegetables: fresh. Try not to get anything that's been frozen, because then they're not going to come out just as good. If you're going to do something like this, fresh is the way to go. If you're going to go straight from freezer, foil pack, and then straight into a grill, then you can do frozen, but make sure that you have a good sized piece. Don't do anything that's too small, like the little diced carrots, little diced pieces. Those tend to burn and just turn into goo.
And instead of taking your corn off if you're going to do it in a foil pack, you could leave it.
Exactly. And I pre-boil mine a little bit, and then I add flavor to them, and then roll them in my foil pack, and that flavor just cooks right into them even more. So it'll cut down on the cooking time, because corn on the ear is a little bit temperamental on the grill until you're used to it. So I always just pre-boil them, get them cooked up most of the way, and then slather them in butter, my favorite seasonings right on top, roll them right into that foil pack, and they'll finish up real nice.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and go to commercial break. When we come back, these two will be wrapping up their cooking, and we can try out Chef Anthony's steak and veggies. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We are making steak and fresh veggies. We're cooking them in the skillet, but these are easy recipes that you can transition to the grill, whether any type of grill, really.
Exactly.
And we were talking about how the veggies work really well in foil packs.
And I love doing the foil packs. They take me back to my Cub Scout days, because there's a whole story behind that we won't get into today, but I always love doing the foil packs. We call them Hobo Meals.
Yes.
So, and I have our steak here. I'm just going to give it a tap to the other one to help a little bit of the juice roll right off, and lay it right up onto our plate.
And this, we were saying earlier, this has your own new seasoning. You've been experimenting with different seasonings for the cook-off for next weekend. So
I want to make sure that I have a good showing, and I'm hoping that people will come out and join me, and I have fun. Come out, cook with me, talk with me, visit with me. We'll have some fun. So it's going to all be really good stuff. And I'm going to lay our vegetables right there on the side, and then I'm going to top everything with just a little bit of smoked applewood flake salt.
All right.
And I like the flake salt for this portion because it stands up a little bit and you can actually see it.
That's a beautiful presentation. A lot of color. I'm afraid to dig into it though, because it's going to be hot.
It's going to be a little warm for you, but it's going to be so good.
Okay. All right. Well, I do this. Cooking something like this is something that you could enter into the People's Choice competition.
And correct. You can do this into the People's Choice if you wanted to. If you do, we were talking about corn on the cob, a lot of people like to do street corn. So street corn is one of those things that you can come out and you can enter into the People's Choice Award and just share it with everybody. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to share your passion for cooking, some of your favorite recipes for everybody else, and let them see what you're working on.
Okay.
So
there you go. There's your steak. It's got a lot of juice to it. Letting it cool off so I don't burn my mouth incredibly. Of course, this is a sirloin steak that you got from Simon Market.
It is a sirloin steak. This is the best economical cut for steaks because it's so versatile. You can do anything you want with it.
That seasoning is.
Isn't that great?
That is really good. Wow.
But see, I'm going one step further. I'm also making a barbecue sauce to go along with it that'll accompany it and amplify it even more. So, but I'm kind of particular on my sauces, so I learned to make ketchup from a previous chef that I worked at, so I do everything, start at the bottom, make my ketchup, turn my ketchup into my barbecue sauce, and take it on even further.
Now, a lot of seasonings, sorry, I'm talking about my mouthful. Are they good to use for both as seasonings when you're grilling something or as a rub? Are they?
You can do whatever, however you like.
Works
Use
both
your
ways?
favorite one, apply it generously. The cooking is experimenting. It's a philosophy. How do you know until you tried it? So if you have your favorite seasoning that you use at home, you're not going to know how it's going to translate to the grill until you've actually taken it out there and put it on the grill and tried it. So I always tell everybody, just try it, try it, try it. You may have to change it just a little bit because you may have a little sugar in it or something. You just have to kind of play with it a little bit, tweak it. Just keep notes as to what you're working on.
So, do you have the same seasoning on the veggies that was sitting on
I
there?
put a little bit into the veggies to kind of amplify and make them combine together, because you want everything on your plate to marry together and become a complete meal.
Okay, this
there
one's
goes
mine.
lunch.
That is delicious.
Well, good.
Wow.
This is
Wow.
really easy to do.
And you have a little heat in that.
Just a little bit.
Yes.
With no jalapenos, no peppers, no nothing. It's just the seasoning that I used. But try dried peppers. If you like seasoning and spice, try using a dried pepper, grind it into a powder, and start mixing it with your other seasonings that you like.
That is good. I can taste the sweetness from the mango and the habanero as well.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. That is really good.
Oh yes, I'm super excited for it.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, if you want to learn more information, swing by Simon Market. You can sign up for the barbecue competition. Watch that first segment that we did. It's on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. All you have to do, it's really easy to sign up and register. You just scan that QR code right there.
Scan the QR code that's on your screen, or go by Simon Market. There's a big giant banner out front. The QR code is located on the banner. You can scan there. There's a sign in the window of the door. You can scan there, or you can just walk inside and talk to our friends at Simon Market. It's going to be great. But don't forget to come out tomorrow night and try their pizza brats with Drop the H at the Community Advocacy Program.
And that'll be downtown Pittsburgh.
That'll be downtown Pittsburgh. It's kind of a street fair, and it's going to be really good. Their pizza brats are a home run all the way, every time.
I've tried the pineapple brats.
Oh, yes.
I bet the pizza ones are good too.
He does a really good job with everything that he's doing. So
Okay.
I get excited when he says, "Oh, I got something new for you."
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and probably too soon to ask what you're making next week.
I have a couple of ideas, but I know coming up we're going to do homemade ice cream coming up, and next week we'll have a guest, Miss Aubrey Ross. She runs the horticulture and botany program at PHS. Dragon Farms will be selling at Farmers Market on July 2nd is our first sale. So come out and see the fruits of the labors of the students at PHS and try some of the beautiful fresh greens that they'll have for you. It's going to be wonderful.
And you're already getting greens, so that's
yes.
great. All right, we'll be right back.
In Health Watch this morning, four-legged friends helping reduce stress in kids and lower COVID vaccination rates, also affecting flu shot uptakes. Trinity Chavez with some of today's top health stories.
Researchers at UCLA say adult flu vaccination rates have declined in states with low rates of COVID-19 vaccination. The authors say controversy over the COVID shot may be undermining other public health efforts and signaling a declining trust in both medicine and the government. A new study in the BMJ suggests medicalizing menopause may not be helpful for some women. Researchers in Australia say while hormone replacement therapy can help with hot flashes and night sweats, treating menopause as a deficiency can also fuel negative expectations. The study authors advocate raising awareness and reducing the stigma around menopause. And dog-assisted interventions were found to lower stress levels in school children, both with and without special needs. Researchers in the UK tracked levels of the stress hormone, cortisol, and found lower levels in both groups of children immediately after interacting with man's best friend. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Trinity Chavez, CBS News, New York.
Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:34. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Authorities recover a body in their search for a missing man in Shoal Creek at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours Tuesday evening and then resumed the search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. A body was recovered around 6:20 last night. Authorities have not yet released the identity of the individual. A Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash in Joplin on Wednesday. Police say 28-year-old Juan Gabriel Gonzalez Correa was riding a motorcycle at a high speed at the intersection of Zora and Range Line. A car coming from the opposite direction was making a left turn, and the motorcycle hit the car. Gonzalez Correa later died at the hospital. As of today, AAA reports the Kansas gas price average is $4.67 a gallon. In Missouri, it's $4.68. Oklahoma, $4.66, and in Arkansas, $4.54. In all 4 states, it's below the national average, which is $5.01. Kansas universities, including Pitt State, will not increase tuition this year. On Wednesday, the Kansas Board of Regents approved flat tuition at all 6 of the state universities. In a statement, the board chair thanked Governor Laura Kelly and lawmakers for providing the funding to keep the tuition rates the same. Well, a VHS copy of Back to the Future sells at auction for thousands. The tape sold for $75,000 at Heritage Auctions, a Dallas-based trade house. Heritage Auction says the tape was in its original packaging and in almost perfect condition. The vintage piece was auctioned off with other tapes from Tom Wilson's collection. Wilson played Biff Tannen in the movies. The actor sent a handwritten letter alongside the tape to the new owner. The auction house believes this is the highest price ever paid for a VHS. Please do not put it in an old VHS player and it lets it eat it.
You know what he said probably when he sold that? Let's make like a tree and get out of here. old Biff line. I think that was from the first one. Yes, Trevor, I know it's leave. I know it's leave.
Yes.
Trevor over here correcting me. That's why I love him.
Never
Live
quite
look
got that
over
one right.
7th and Range Line, where right now we're starting to see our temperatures creep up. Joplin's been pretty stagnant at 79, but the feels like temperature has already increased 3 degrees. So now we're up to 82, and that's a result of that high humidity hovering around 80%. It's one of those things where after the sun came up, it actually got more humid than what it was pre-sunrise. Whole bunch of high 70s right now. Still waiting on our first 80. We've seen a massive increase in temperatures in the far northwestern section where overnight it picked up in excess of 1.5 inches of rain in the northern part of Greenwood County. Wind has subsided quite a bit, so we'll call that a positive thing. But one thing we can't get out of the way of is the heat advisories stretching across the 4 states. You'll see that little green on the northern portion of Greenwood County. That is let's check out the flood warning there. That's a flood warning. They actually at one point in time had a flash flood warning. So they've downgraded that just to a flood warning. And of course, everybody else, the heat advisory, not only lasting through tonight, but we can expect it to reemerge for Friday, Saturday, and probably Father's Day as well. A little light cloud cover, but we are done with our precipitation. As a severe thunderstorm risk map will show you, it's really the upper plains where that will be isolated to. We do have a chance for our far northern counties to skirt just a little bit of rain showers very early tomorrow morning. It will not be widespread. Looks like we'll avoid any thunder or lightning to go along with that as well. Probably going to stay way to the north of Highway 54. And then 90s all the way not only through Father's Day weekend, but into next week as well. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. We take this time to honor this morning's 4-state hero, Bosun's Mate 2nd Class O.R. Julian. The Parsons native served in the Pacific from 1942 to 1943. To Bosun's Mate 2nd Class O.R. Julian, we thank you, this morning's 4-state hero. This morning on the KOAM News Now Insta Poll and our Facebook page, the pain at the pump. According to AAA, national average for a gallon of gas, it's more than $5. Average cost for a gallon here in the 4 states, it comes out to around $4.63. Many people frustrated, understandably so, but perhaps not understanding what determines the cost of fuel. So there's one expert that says, think about 4 factors that determine the price we pay. Taxes, 1. 2, distribution and marketing. 3, refining costs. But the majority of what we pay on fuel, he says, is based on the price of crude oil, which is up 70% from last year. Leads us to our specific question: how much of gas prices affect you right now? 65% of you say greatly. 24% of you say, yeah, it has somewhat. Only 11% staying out of the fray and going with not at all. Each and every morning, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. That'll take you right to the poll. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. This week, President Biden signed a law that will lay the foundation for the creation of a National Museum of Asian Pacific American History and Culture. This comes as more local and state officials are pushing for more education in the classroom that highlight contributions over the years from Asian Americans. Chris Wynn with the story.
With the rise in anti-Asian racism, more people are calling out the invisibility of the Asian American experience.
That really propelled me into wanting to share our history with each other in a bookstore like this.
Lucy Yu, owner of You and Me Books in New York City's Chinatown, showcases immigrant stories, driven in part by what she says is the lack of Asian American and Pacific Islander history taught in K-12 schools across the nation.
We need to make sure everyone knows these stories because they're written and they're out there. And so many different forms.
Did you know the Army's 442nd Regimental Combat Team, composed almost entirely of Japanese American soldiers, is the most decorated in U.S. military history? Despite many of their families being sent to internment camps, they fought for the U.S. during World War II, most voluntarily. Advocates say most textbooks rarely mention contributions like this, but some are trying to change that.
I was born and raised in this country. I'm as American as anyone else.
New York Congresswoman Grace Meng is sponsoring federal legislation that would encourage schools nationwide to incorporate AAPI history into the curriculum.
I want my children and all American children to learn a more diverse and complete teaching of American history.
Lawmakers in Illinois, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Rhode Island have already passed legislation requiring public schools to teach AAPI history.
Children pay attention to whose stories are told in school and whose stories aren't.
Advocacy groups such as Make Us Visible say parents and students shouldn't be discouraged if progress appears to be slow.
Talk to your superintendent, talk to your curriculum supervisors, talk to your children's social studies teachers, ask them if they can start including it.
Many are confident that these efforts will break down barriers and help foster greater understanding.
If people understand that part of history, then they will start viewing Asian Americans not as foreigners, but just as part of the fabric of American society.
A chance to educate with hope for a more inclusive future. According to the group Stop AAPI Hate, 1 in 3 children of AAPI heritage in the United States has experienced a hate incident in the past year. In New York, I'm Chris Wynn.
An estimated 24 million Asian Americans live in the U.S., making up roughly 7% of the total population, and among the fastest growing racial or ethnic groups in the entire country. Be back with Consumer News right after this.
Rent prices across the country are skyrocketing. Median rent now at its highest level in history. Madison Allworth is in New York City with more.
Not only are some Americans being priced out of the home buying market, they are now being priced out of the homes that they currently rent. That's because, according to Redfin, median rent in the U.S. has hit over $2,000 a month for the first time ever, an increase of 15% year over year. And unfortunately, this problem is not going anywhere.
I don't think we're going to see meaningful relief for people, because many people who are living in an apartment, they haven't been faced with this increase yet. They may still be on the same lease. So by the time they go out to find a new apartment or they get a lease renewal, they're probably going to get hit with an increase that's more than what they would like. And we're going to continue to see that happen for at least the next year.
And of course, certain areas are worse than others. The top 5 cities with the fastest rising rents have shocking increases. Cincinnati, Seattle, and Nashville all saw rent increase by 32%. And in Austin, rent went up nearly 50% in just 1 year. While the Federal Reserve Bank of New York does anticipate the housing market to slow down when it comes to purchasing, the same is not expected of the rental market because unfortunately, it's an inventory issue. In New York, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Well, in Connecticut, turns out sightings of bears are on the rise. That's right, bears. Just recently, a woman came home and found a bear inside her kitchen. Aaron Edwards with the story.
Pulled up, didn't think anything out of the norm. My cat was sitting right here, like just sitting there staring at the window.
Shannon Davis says it was the way her cat was acting that made her realize there might be something going on inside her home.
It was just a weird look on the cat. Like so I looked at the window, didn't even know the screen was out, and I just saw a shadow like walk across the window.
The shadow was from this guy who made his way through that window and into Shannon's kitchen. She took out her phone and got this video of him poking his head out.
It was almost like, what's for dinner?
Shannon ran downstairs to grab her neighbor for help.
He started banging on that door over there. The bear went in my room and climbed out my window.
Crawl out the back window, figuring he was going to get out that way, and you couldn't. So he decided to come back out.
The bear ended up making its way out the back door. As for damage left behind, there wasn't much.
There was a lollipop stuck to the rug. It pulled out the snack tray. It was pulled to the edge, but there was only a yellow package of vanilla crackers, those vanilla wafers, and those dots. That was it.
The Department of Energy and Environmental Protection says the bear population has been steadily growing every year in the state, but this year they've seen a 20% increase in their calls for bear issues.
This is a pretty big increase for us.
Just in Canton yesterday, a bear was euthanized after DEEP officials say it was attempting to break into homes. 4 of its cubs were tranquilized. 1 did not recover from sedation.
The biggest thing we want to get across to people is bears are attracted to food, so remove the food source and the bears don't have a reason to come into your yard, to come into your house.
All right, makes me double check the window now before I walk in the door this afternoon. So officials are telling people if you see a bear in the neighborhood, call the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Of course, if you see a bear around your house or something like that, call your police or sheriff, and they'll know the right people to get in touch with. You can also call Fish and Wildlife to report a bear sighting. Of course, much more common in our neck of the woods probably than in Connecticut that I know of. Right now, 79 degrees over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. Remember, we've got heat advisories for today. So we're still waiting on an 80. That's a little bit deceiving because you may be thinking, well, temperatures are stagnant. No, especially up to the north, we've seen quite a jump of about 7-8 degrees already. Down to the south is where we're warming up just a little bit slower, and that's a result of some cloud cover. But anyway, it's still going to feel like it's about 103 to 105 later on this afternoon. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The third hearing by the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol takes place. The panel says it will focus on former President Trump's attempts to pressure his vice president, Mike Pence, into changing the results of the election. Testimony from Mark Short, Pence's chief of staff, is expected to be shown. And the U.S. is sending another $1 billion in military aid to Ukraine. It includes 18 howitzers, thousands of radios and night vision devices, and funds for training and maintenance. Several European nations are also contributing artillery. The U.S. has now provided Ukraine more than $5.5 billion in aid since Russia invaded in February. Advisors for the Food and Drug Administration signed off on Moderna and Pfizer's COVID vaccines for children younger than 5 years old. They are the only group of Americans unable to get vaccinated. If the CDC follows suit and votes to recommend the shots during a meeting this Saturday, shots could be going in those tiny arms by early next week.
Going to get up into the 90s later on this afternoon. Late tonight, early tomorrow morning, we see a low pressure system develop up by Kansas City. As it rolls through, far northern counties could see some showers, certainly not widespread and nothing severe. And then after that, we all just lock in with heat advisories for today. We can expect those to be extended all the way through Father's Day weekend and in all probability into next week as well.
This next story is fitting because it is Tupac's birthday today. A pop-up restaurant inspired by Tupac's vision is opening in Los Angeles. Palamica Cafe, a restaurant dreamed up by the rapper before he died, is coming to life for a few weeks. Tupac's family is teaming up with Fixin's Soul Kitchen for the venture. The cafe is expected to follow all of the rapper's notes on the project, serving gumbo, fried chicken, wings, meatloaf, and, quote, the best sandwiches on the planet. Alongside the cafe will be the Wake Me Up When I'm Free exhibit, featuring memorabilia from the rapper's life, including the notes he took on the Palamica Cafe. The Los Angeles pop-up will be open for 2 weeks starting today.
Be interesting to see if that thing's successful, if they don't have a little bit longer run. I bet you that thing takes off like wildfire. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.